Hey, Steve Basic Architect for the Build Show Network. We're out here at our Riverside project. You can see it. What a view, huh? This is the media room downstairs. But when you have a river like that, you have to have the view to the river. And so one of the things we're going to talk about today is how do we maximize that view? So you can see here, we have our ICF formwork. We have our Pro Bucks at the end. If you haven't watched any of the videos on the foundation, then definitely go check those out where we use the Pro Buck. But we have a little over a 15-foot wide opening here. Now, we have some temporary framing members here, but the reality is this will be 3 independent windows. We have 6x6 or 3 2x6s that make up a post at 2 locations there that break it up. But more importantly, rather than have the header come down and have the framing, I punch the header up into the floor framing so you can see the top of the window is only going to be about an inch or so down from the top or the bottom of the floor joist. So we're maximizing that window opening by pushing that framing into the band joist area and using that 2-ply LVL simply as our band joist to the outside. Maximizing the opening, we have the little stub wall here that keeps the window high enough so we didn't have to move to a tempered condition on the glass, but it also allows us to put a little framed wall in front of here and run some electrical. So when you're down here in the media room, we obviously have some outlets on that wall. But you can see over here, it's also pretty much the same detail for the door. We have a little walkout here. And then over here, we have, this is the client's workshop area. So we raise the sill, but the head condition is the same as the head condition over there. So basically that 2-ply LVL runs in a continuous fashion all the way down the length of this wall. Let's jump back to the studio. We'll break out some details. We'll break out Big Red, and we'll talk about that head detail in more specific terms. So I'll see you back at the studio.
Hey everybody, so hopefully you enjoyed that little trip out there, and we're back at the studio. We got Big Red, we got details, we got a beautiful detail here, all blown up and ready to talk about. So without further ado, let's get at it. Grab Big Red, let's do it.
All right, so here is our detail to give you some perspective. Orientation, that is the band joist, and this is our double LVL beam here. But in this case, that beam is also the header. Header being the structural member that allows for the window rough opening. Now, if you remember in some of the mud sill details, you notice that the floor frame sits on a double mud sill that sits on top of the foundation. So there's our double mud sill. So that basically stays the same across the building. And then we have a slight pad out there of what I call, that is our treated buck that sits on the inside there. That grabs the window. The window proper is right here. You can see the window frame. And 1, 2, 3. So yeah, that window is triple glazed. Right. You can see 3 beads of glazing there, and you can see the properties here. There's the mechanism that windows are thermally broken. Which means they're an aluminum frame, but the outside frame does not touch the inside frame because they're not connected. But what we wanted to talk about was, typically you would have your floor frame, band joist, subfloor, and it sits on a top plate, but then the header would be down here and it would push the window down, probably on the order, even if we did a 9.5-inch header there, it pushes it down somewhere around 14 inches. And we don't want to lose that because, like I showed you in that room, we wanted to capture the view. So the question is how do we bring this up and maybe take that 14 and make it more like 3-ish? And that's what we did here. You can see this here, and I'll color that one in. So that represents the ceiling line, right? So that's where our ceiling is, and you can see the window basically gets trimmed out to it. But by the time you get down to the window here, we are down about 3 inches or so. So yeah, this is probably more like 4. And you can see there's also about a good 2.5 inches or so by the time you get to glass. So by the time that we go from the framing down, even holding this up, we're somewhere around 6.5 to 7 inches. And if we put in a traditional header, then that would easily add 9 inches to it, and we'd be at like 15 inches or so. So trying to push that up and maximize the view. Now, one of the beauties out there is that the view is out and down, not looking up at a mountain range right out the back of the window. So, you know, as long as I'm not as tall as the ceiling, which I've yet to meet anybody that tall, you're always looking out the window and looking down it. So pushing that window head up, it gives the sense of, you know, more openness, but it doesn't necessarily provide a lot more view, although it does some. And especially when we're going from the 15 inches, you know, up to 6.5 or so and getting that 9 inches back. On the outside here, we just have some really simple boards that will finish off. We have a nice little head casing there. It'll have a slope on it. So remember, our water management strategy is always down and out. We have our zip R9 on the wall here. So you can see there's the zip. This is the R9 there. And then we have our furring strips. We have flashing. We do have a piece of metal flashing in there that'll be up tight next to the board. So any water that does get in that joint has a way to come down. It'll go there. It'll drip down here and then drip off the system. In the wall beyond, we have some stone veneer that will get applied. That's what all these dashed lines are suggesting, what happens beyond. So anyways, we've taken care of water management. We have thermal management with our R9. We have some additional insulation in here to the tune of about R26. So we're in a good place. We got our structure taken care of, but most importantly, we've minimized the amount of structure and maximized the view. So the most important thing about that is the client is happy. And that's our goal.
Well, there you have it. I told you. Nice little detail, little help from Big Red, little talk about headers in the floor frame. Beautiful windows, beautiful view. Love that Riverside project. Hopefully you love following along. Hopefully you like videos, because we literally have hundreds, if not thousands, on the Build Show Network right now. All of my good friends and colleagues out there throwing up videos all the time of work they're doing today. So go check it out. If you're looking for more from me, you can find me at Steve Basic Architect on Instagram, posting daily, putting up stuff, sharing along, creating discussions. So please join in. And if you're looking for even more, you can find me on the Unbuild It podcast. Yeah, Jake Bruton, Peter Yost, and myself, the three amigos. We talk up building. So check that out. It's on YouTube, all the audio channels, Unbuild It Podcast. So that's a wrap for today. Until next time, Big Red signing off. Long live our buildings.